Pyke, can you give us any insight into how you're going to shape up for Thursday with your ruckman?
With our ruckman? Oh, well, Rob was pretty good last week. It's going to be pretty hard to change that up, I would have thought, at this point.
So he's pulled up fine.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, that's the focus this week. Obviously with the 5-day turn, we've known about it for a while. It's been about recovery. They had a good sharp session this morning. Guys are in good spirits. Pleasingly, the guys who played last week have all put up really well. So I don't really anticipate too many changes to the squad. We had the 3 guys who missed out last week, and we're going to add 1 or 2 in on the top of that. So yeah, we'll get ready to go.
Do you think we finally reached that point where it's now purely like Source in the past? Obviously his body of work has been fantastic and hard to displace. Have we reached the point where it's now just whoever's in better form is
well, I mean, Rob's come in and performed really strongly over those 10 weeks, and obviously last week he was very good, and Source is good again in the SANFL, so it's a good spot to be in. I mean, we've got 2 guys who are competing for a spot. It's one of those spots that really is just a genuine, we play one ruck, so but I know Source is, he's a competitor as well, so he'll be scratching away trying to get his spot back.
He wouldn't be used to being the number 2 now.
Well, no, he hasn't had that for a while, but that's, I guess, credit to Rob, and he's come in and had a good pre-season and has taken his opportunity.
Has he handled the workload then, do you think? Like he's got it in him to back up, obviously his engine's enormous, but well.
Yeah, well, that's again, we're checking with all the players, making sure that guys who are, they're fresh and ready to go, and as I said, they've all put up really well, so looking forward to Thursday night.
Jordan Galucci's alright. You said post-game you had a bit of a claw.
Yeah, that's all fine. All good.
Sweet,
yeah, all good.
And slowly that hamstring, I mean, pretty superhuman effort to do that with it.
Yeah.
Sprain, expected to be.
No, he was good. He probably pulled up a little sore, but that's to be expected. But that's he's in no doubt at all. That was an interesting one last week. It was just probably where it was allowed him to get up and play, and he obviously had a real big impact, I thought, in the last quarter. But he's recovered well, so I expect him to go again.
And so did Hugh, who was caught up at the last.
Yeah. Hugh got an interesting one last week when he got a tap on the shoulder 20 minutes out, and next minute he's getting strapped and getting ready. So he came and obviously took Lynch's spot. So see how it looks this way.
How happy are you with Rory? We've spoken a lot in the past about how he's struggled to break tags, gets a little bit better over time, and like on the weekend, you did. How happy have you been with the way he's learned to deal with that?
Oh, well, that's ongoing for any player when they come across that sort of attention. So he got it pretty strong the last sort of 18 months. And he's learned a whole range of things he can do in that space, and I thought his influence on the game, especially late, was significant, and it was for all our leaders, to be honest. I mean, if you look at getting over the line against a high quality team last week, our key guys stood up, which is what you need in those critical moments.
Is that something you speak about in the review, Don? Is the performance of your leaders, especially in that final quarter?
Oh, I think it's certainly touched on. It's more we were able to stay to the way we wanted to play and execute our plans for longer, which is wasn't a challenge. We weren't able to do that against, say, West Coast, but they were able to on Saturday night. So, and this week, Richmond, another fantastic test. The reality is in this game, we sit at 7-5, they're at 7-5, and I said last week was probably our biggest game for the year. Well, guess what? I reckon this week's probably our next biggest game for the year, coming straight at us. So, we understand where we sit, we understand the quality of the opposition, and what we need to produce on Thursday night to keep moving up.
The moment for Tex in the last quarter, that colossal pack mark. It's only one moment in a season, but do you think he can take some confidence out of especially that fourth quarter performance and really not necessarily try and turn his season around, but build some strong form off the back of that performance? Yeah,
and look, that's been in there, and we had patches of that. As I said, some of his games against Brisbane was really good. I thought his second half against Melbourne was good, and for him now that last quarter was. It's the sort of thing we know he's capable of doing. Again, it's just about doing that for longer, and I've got great confidence and faith in him and the way he's moving now and the way he's presenting at the ball, and he's not far away from breaking a big game open, I reckon.
Did he silence a few critics from that leadership standpoint, do you think?
He just has to play. The rest of it comes off that. That's the beauty. When he's up and playing and presenting, and as you said, jumping at the ball like he was in that last quarter, that's what he does. That's what makes him a great player and a fantastic leader for the footy club. So, the more we see of that, the better it'll be.
We're not used to really big sweeping statements from coaches, but last week you said that GWS game was probably, definitely the biggest game of the year. How do you think that, in retrospect, worked on the players as a build-up and how they responded?
I think it's just reality. I mean, we were sitting there last week at where we were on the ladder, having snuck over the line against Melbourne, and we played a high-quality opposition at home. It's the players are under no illusions about exactly where we sit on the ladder and what those games mean. and the fact that it's against, in the case of both GWS and Richmond this weekend, against sides who we're competing with for spots in the top 8, doesn't change the significance. But the players know. They know where we sit. They know what it's about. And the reality is, the big games of footy. It's at home Thursday night. That's what we play for.
Did the West Coast game almost light a fire then, Don?
In what way?
Well, I mean, like you said, 5 goals up, brutal reality check, home ground. Now all of a sudden the next couple of performances have been relatively strong and showed a bit of character. Was that the spark for?
No, I think we'd been sort of playing some pretty good footy. That was probably at the end of that. There's some serious disappointment. We put a lot of energy and effort into that game, and we lose to the premiers from last year in a game where we were well in front. Then the following week we come back from 5 goals down and get a win. So that's just the ebbs and flows of the season, I reckon. There's no single moment. It's more, you end up being where you are for a reason on the ladder, and we drop that game, then we win a couple of other ones, and this Thursday night becomes another opportunity. That's as simple as I look at it. It really is. I know it's boring, it's cliche, but it is really week by week. And this week we get Richmond, both sitting on the same points. Big game of footy.
Are you sort of worried?
You think you're like on the back of the last couple of weeks and starting to build some credibility and some trust with people who were unsure about how good you guys could be?
No, I think we're starting to build an understanding of what creates winning for ourselves, to be honest. That's what we focus on. We focus on what we can control. What we control is what we can put out in the park. And as I said, in the last 7 weeks, we've lost a couple of games close. We've won 5, and we get another chance on the weekend. But it's for me, the process really doesn't change, and the process is about how we want to go about playing. And we'll have a plan against Richmond, our ability to execute that, our ability to be strong in the contest, which underpins most teams of what we do. Against an opposition we know who've lost 2 in a row, we're going to come out and playing the way we know they're capable with the high quality players they've got. So it's more for me about the process and executing our process, and being able to do longer against better teams.
Did the players need that belief though? Did you think that perhaps the belief that you were a winning side, did it waver in the last 18 months?
No, I don't think so. I think what happens is you probably waver around, if anything, it's just around your execution of it, being able to do it for longer. And that was what the weekend was really, and I guess the last 8 minutes, because it really took the last 8 minutes against a good side to get over the line, just allowed our players to then, and you could see the energy and the passion and the joy they had for doing that. That's all helpful. That's all part of it. That's the nature of the game, is that you're going to have these times where you're going to be challenged and you're going to come through. Other times you might not come up, but it's what you learn and how you can then continue to get better. So as I said, for me, it's the focus on the process, focus upon the next opposition, our plan, and what we need to do to keep winning games of footy.
Are you worried of Richmond, Don? Given you touched on 2 losses, but that, especially against Geelong, they were really outmuscling that first half there. Are you worried what they bring this week?
Yeah, I think you'd be foolish not to be honest. I mean, you look through their midfield with Prestia, Cochin, Martin. You've got some high quality players. Edwards off half-back, Hooley. They're a dangerous team, and we know what they're capable of, and they sit level with us on the ladder for a reason. So they had a good win over here early in the year against Port. So I'm sure they're going to be coming over keen to atone for a couple of poor performances. And for us, we've won a couple, but there's no guarantees. We've got to start at 0 again on Thursday night and earn our stripes.
How do you structure up your back line? Cole Hardigan was very good against Jeremy Cameron on the weekend, but I suppose you showed the week before against Melbourne, you were sort of picking horses for courses with your back line, small forward line. Do you do a similar thing with Richmond's small forward this week?
Well, we'll assess that. It's slightly different to how Melbourne sort of structured up. So we'll assess it and have a look at what they're likely to push through there. Obviously with Lynch, you'd expect their mainstay there, and whether or not they bring Bolter back forward or they use obviously Caddy and Martin forward at times as well. So it's a bit of a different mix, and also how they play is slightly differently to Melbourne. So we'll take all that into account and get the finalise the team that we think is going to give us the best opportunity to get the result.
Don, what do you make of reports that there's a rift between senior players here?
Never heard of it.
It was on radio this morning, rumours flying around town. You don't buy into any of that?
No, I don't buy into rumours and innuendo. I try and deal with facts if I can.
Can I ask, I think meeting the council tonight, I think the move to the Aquatic Centre might be being put forward. What are your, I think, what are your thoughts on the move there? What will that do for the club?
Look, I'll probably leave that with Fags. I'm not across all the details regarding it. Obviously, it's something the club's been looking at and see it as a positive step. So I'll sort of support that, and I wasn't aware there was a vote tonight though.
Just in terms of like having a new sort of training facility and having it in that location?
Yeah, well, it's something clearly the club values, and they want to upgrade the facility we've got. Obviously, we've lost the stand around here and some bits and pieces, so it'd be something which will be ideal for the club going forward and set the club up for a long future.
Don, a bit of discussion about various players in the AFL, young people generally just battling addiction, whether that be gambling or alcohol
Yeah.
or something else. How aware are you guys of that as a club, and what do you
Yeah.
sort of put in place to help players with those?
Yeah, well, it's an issue, and it's an issue that we're facing as an industry, I think. And again, I always say footy clubs are a cross section of the community, and that's what we deal with. And we've got, whether it be mental health, whether it be gambling issues, whether it be alcohol or drugs sort of thing, it's something we're ever vigilant on. And we're in communication with our players the whole time, and making sure that we're educating them and we're supporting them. And as an industry, it's something we've got to be across and very aware of.